I'm correctly share the screen. I'm correctly share my screen, share my PPT.
Madam, could you just wait? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you see the?
Yes, we can hear you. Just give me 2 minutes to introduce. Yeah, to introduce the session chair, Professor Devabruta Datta. Could you kindly take your position on the stage and just a moment. Professor Devabruta Datta is chairing this session. He is currently a professor in the Department of Information Technology at Heritage Institute of Technology, Kolkata. He is a retired senior scientist and former head of the Radiological Physics and Advisory Division of Bhabha Atomic Research Center. He joined in 28th batch of BARC training school in the discipline of physics and graduated in nuclear engineering in the year 1985. He has obtained Master of Science in Nuclear Physics and Master of Philosophy in High Energy Nuclear Physics from University of Calcutta in the year of 1983 and 1984, respectively. He obtained his doctoral degree from Mumbai University in Physics in the year 2000. So he has worked in various fields in the field of artificial intelligence and developed an expert system and its application for nuclear industry. He has been deputed to International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, in Vienna, Austria in 2004, to test the quality control and diagnosis of agency-developed software, RAIS. And he has been recognized by Marquis Who's Who in the world continuously from 2015 to 2020, received an Eminent Scientist and National Award Millennium Plaques of Honor from Indian Science Congress Association, ISCA, in 2010. He has published more than 250 peer-reviewed international journal publications to his credit, and delivered a large number of invited talks, keynote lectures in various international and national conferences. He is also an editor, associate editor, and editorial board member of many international and national journals. He is a life member of many international and national scientific bodies. So I request Professor Dr. Devabruta Datta to take over from me and introduce Professor Huang.
So it is my privilege to introduce Professor Huang. Professor Huang, she is PhD, is a professor and associate dean in the School of Economics and Management, University of Science and Technology, Beijing. She got her bachelor degree of engineering and master degree of management from University of Science and Technology, Beijing. Her Bachelor of Economics from University of International Business and Economics, and her PhD in Management Science and Engineering from Beijing Institute of Technology. Her major research areas include portfolio selection, uncertain dominance, and application of uncertainty theory. She is continuously listed in the most cited Chinese researcher issued by Elsevier from 2014 to 2021. She is serving as editor of Journal of Modeling in Management, published by Emerald, and Journal of Engineering Index by ASCI. I think now, Madam, you can start your presentation here onwards.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Now, my today's topic is a new uncertain dominance in the framework of uncertainty theory. Now, my today's topic is about ranking two indeterminate quantities. So my first question is that, what need we do in order to rank indeterministic quantities? For example, what should we do in order to rank two stock returns? Now think about this question. So I think first we need to know the distributions of the indeterministic results. Now, for example, if we want to compare the returns of the two stocks, then we need to get the distributions of these two stock returns. And here I give a curve of the distribution. This red curve gives the chance of the stock return falling on the left side of a specific level. So we can get that. Then after getting the distributions of the indeterministic results, we can make ranking. And when make ranking, we need a ranking criteria. So first, let us talk about the distributions of the indeterministic results. My next question is that, can we believe the distributions got from the historical data are close enough to the future frequencies? I want to ask every one of you who are present here. Now I will show you some data. This data I calculate from the data got from the real life, and the data are all from our Shanghai exchange building, and it is about the average monthly returns of Shanghai Composite Index, and obtained from samples in different historical periods. And you can see here, if I use the samples during the period from January the 1st, 2010 until January the 1st, 2017, then the average monthly return I got is this value. But if I change the sample period, now I start from January the 1st, 2011, then the average monthly return becomes this value. Then I change again the sample period from January the 1st, 2012, and you see the average monthly return changes too, and you can see that. Now, it's quite understandable that the average monthly return will change, but what we cannot accept is that the change is so much. You can see that 0.1816, and here it's double, okay, double. It's 0.3867. And the third value, even triple, nearly triple. Therefore, all this data shows that the average monthly return is quite unstable. And we can see, since the frequency of the past data is so unstable, now we cannot believe the distributions got from the past data can be close enough to the future frequencies. I don't know if you agree with me. You can see from this real life data. So we do not know which average monthly return we can adopt to predict the future. The next question is that, if the frequencies from the past data is so unstable, we cannot believe that the distribution got from the past data can well reflect the future, can be close enough to the future. Then can we still think those distributions are probability distributions? So next question is, what if we still treat those distributions that are not close to tomorrow's frequencies as probability distributions? I would like to use an example to answer this question. Now, to be simple, suppose we have 80 stocks with independent identical distribution, And also, we have a risk-free asset whose return is 1%. And now I give the distribution. The blue line is the real frequency of these 80 stocks. Now you can see that the stock returns are between minus 0.1 to minus 0.01. Therefore, the maximum return is lower than 0. But we are ordinary person, we are not God. We do not know the real situation. Now, according to the knowledge, according to the experience, now we judge, we give the red line. Red line is what we obtain, okay? So you can see, in fact, this red line can be said quite accurate because it includes the real frequency, and for most of the part, the prediction is correct, but we human beings are somewhat optimistic. Therefore, we still think there are some opportunities that these stock returns can bring us a great opportunity. Now, so we can see the red line is what we obtain, either from historical data or from our judgment. Now, the red line deviate from the real frequency. Then if we still treat this red line as the probability distribution, what can we have? What will happen? Now, because here the real line, the real distribution is the blue line. So the maximum is lower than the 0. But we do not know that. If we treat this red line as the probability distribution, then we make an investment strategy. The strategy is that we make investment return evenly in the 80 stocks. Then we can calculate by simulation that. So using this red line, remember using this red line, then the probability of our investment strategy, the return result is lower than 0, and the probability will be this one, almost 0. And we can calculate that by using the red line as the probability distribution. We can get that the investment return evenly in the 80 securities, the expected return is quite high, is 16%. So therefore you can see the average, the expected return is high, but this return is lower than 0, is almost nothing, is almost 0. Therefore, if we treat this red line as the probability distribution, then our decision will be this. We invest in the 80 stocks. But the real situation is that the maximum return is minus 0.01. Therefore, the real situation is that we'll suffer at least 1% loss. So therefore, from this example, we can see if the distribution cannot be close enough to the real situation. Now, should we treat the distributions as probability distribution if they are not close to tomorrow's frequencies? Now, the example, the results tell us, no, we cannot. Then what can we do? Now, if we try a new theory, that is uncertainty theory, I guess Professor Baoding Liu has given you a presentation regarding the uncertainty theory and uncertain statistics. Now, if we use uncertainty theory, we treat this red line as the uncertainty distribution, then the result is that the investment strategy, that is making investment evenly in the 80 stocks, then we can calculate the chance of this investment strategy, the return result being less than 0, the chance will be 80%. Then with this result, if we are the decision maker, we'll make the decision, no, we cannot make investment in the stocks. On the contrary, we need to make investment in the risk-free asset. Then with the help of uncertainty theory, our decision is to invest in risk-free asset. And the result that will gain definitely, surely get a 1% return. So therefore, you can see when in the situation, in fact, we are quite doubtful that the distribution gauge can be close enough to the real frequencies, then we cannot use a probability theory. Instead, we can use uncertainty theory. Now here, I cannot use such a short time to introduce the uncertainty theory, but here I can mention the 5 keys of the uncertainty theory. Now first, in uncertainty theory, there is an uncertain measure, just similar to probability measure in the probability theory. And also in uncertainty theory, we have uncertain variable, just like random variable in the probability theory. And also in the uncertainty theory, we have uncertainty distribution, similar to in probability theory, we have a probability distribution. And the definition is given in this way. And also, in uncertainty theory, we have operational law, and the operational law I have briefly given in this way. I do not want to introduce, but you should know that the operational law of uncertainty theory is quite different with the operational law in the probability theory. And similarly, in the uncertainty theory, we have expected value, and the definition and the operation is different from those in the probability theory. And I just quickly move on. And if any one of you have interest, you can read it after the conference, and you need to read the book very carefully. So, now, I will talk about the second issue. Now, when we get the distributions of the indeterminate quantities, next, we need to rank them. And here, I will introduce a new ranking criteria. This new ranking criteria is called uncertain dominance. And I will introduce 2 of them. Now, first is called first order uncertain dominance. Now, let me give its definition. Let Xi and eta denote 2 uncertain variables. And these 2 uncertain variables have regular uncertainty distributions. We use the symbols phi to denote the uncertainty distribution of Xi, and psi, the uncertainty distribution of eta. Then we want to compare if Xi is better, is superior to eta, how do we rank? Now we give this definition. We say Xi dominates eta by first order uncertain dominance, and abbreviated by FUD, denoted by the symbol Xi. First order dominates eta. If this situation holds, now this condition is that if the inverse uncertainty distribution of phi is equal to or greater than the inverse uncertainty distribution of psi for any alpha in the range of 0 to 1. So I use a picture to illustrate this definition. Now here, please remember this horizontal line is the uncertainty measure, and in probability theory, it's just a probability value. And here it's not probability value, instead it's uncertainty value. And the vertical line is the inverse uncertainty distribution value. Now, suppose we have two uncertain variables, and these two uncertain variables can represent two indeterministic quantities. For example, they can represent two uncertain stock returns. Now, let Xi be a zigzag uncertain variable. Here, this solid line represents the uncertainty distribution, the inverse uncertainty distribution of Xi. And this dashed line represents the inverse uncertainty distribution of eta. And we say if in the range between 0 and 1, the inverse uncertainty distribution of Xi is all up the inverse uncertainty distribution of this dashed line, then we say the solid line represents Xi. Xi dominates eta. So we define first order dominance based on the inverse uncertainty distribution. Here, perhaps readers are curious, why do we define uncertain dominance based on inverse uncertainty distribution instead of uncertainty distribution? Some scholars may be familiar with the stochastic dominance. Stochastic dominance, their definition is based on probability distribution. But here, our definition is based on inverse uncertainty distribution instead of uncertainty distribution. The reason is here. Now, in uncertainty theory, the operational law is simple, based on the inverse uncertainty distribution. Therefore, in order to compare the different uncertain variables, we give the definition based on inverse uncertainty distribution. Therefore, if we have a lot of uncertain variables, and those variables have to be functioned by a complex function, then we are still be able to compare them based on the inverse uncertainty distribution. That's the reason why we make our definition based on inverse uncertainty distribution. And then we offer some properties. Now, since readers may not be so familiar with the uncertainty distribution, therefore we omit the proof procedure, because readers must be able to understand the proof procedure only when they have understood uncertainty theory. Perhaps some of them have some knowledge about uncertainty theory, but others do not. Therefore, here, I only provide the result for you to have an understanding about the framework, about the basic properties of the first order uncertain dominance. Now, the first property is that let Xi and eta be two regular uncertain variable. So regular uncertain variable means that they have a regular uncertainty distribution, which means we can have inverse uncertainty distribution. Then if Xi first order dominates eta, we have the expected value of Xi is equal to or greater than the expected value of eta. Therefore, we can say this condition is in fact the necessity condition for the indeterminate variable, for the uncertain variable Xi first dominates eta. Now, the second theorem 2 is that let Xi and eta be two regular uncertain variables. If f is a strictly increasing function, then we can know that if the underlying variable Xi first order dominates eta, then after functioned by the function f Xi still first order dominates eta, f eta. Now, the next theory is that let Xi and eta be two regular uncertain variables. Here, this time, f is a strictly decreasing function. Then, if the underlying variable Xi first order dominates eta, now on the contrary, this time, f eta first order dominate f Xi. So that's the basic property about first order uncertain dominance. Now, since first order uncertain dominance is a very strict requirement, therefore, sometimes in real life, we cannot make ranking by using first order uncertain dominance because the requirement is too strong. Then we define second order uncertain dominance, and the definition is as follows. Let Xi and eta denote two uncertain variables with regular uncertainty distributions phi and psi respectively. We say Xi dominates eta by second order uncertain dominance, abbreviated by SUD, and denoted by Xi second order dominates eta if this inequality holds. And I use this picture to show the meaning of this inequality. Now, in this picture, solid line represent the inverse uncertainty distribution of Xi, and the dashed line represents the inverse uncertainty distribution of eta. We can see because these two lines intercept, therefore, Xi and eta do not have first order uncertain dominance relationship. However, you can see that in the range from 0 to 1, you can see here the square of the horizontal line, vertical line, the inverse uncertainty distribution, and any point between 0 and 1, we have this equation holds. Now that is, you can see here, now the solid line is upper the dashed line. So it is good. And here, although the solid line is below the dashed line, but in the former part, the upper area is much greater than the lower area. Therefore, in the whole range, this equation still holds. Therefore, we say Xi second order uncertain dominates eta. So that's the meaning of second order uncertain dominance. We can see with the second order uncertain dominance, the requirement is much looser than the first order uncertain dominance. Now, also, we have some properties. Let Xi and eta denote two uncertain variables with regular uncertainty distributions, phi and psi respectively. Then, if Xi first order dominates eta, then we have Xi second order dominates eta. And also, if Xi second order dominates eta, we still have this equation. That is, the expected value of Xi is equal to or greater than expected value of eta. And also, if f is an increasing function with this property holds, that is, it is increasing, but the second derivative is negative, then we know f Xi second order dominates eta, f Xi second order dominates eta. But we must be aware that in this theorem 6, the second derivative must be negative. Otherwise, this theory does not hold. Now, next, we are concerned with the link between uncertain dominance and expected utility criteria. Here, I also just give you the conclusion. Now, first, we need to know what a utility function is. A utility function U is supposed to be a strictly increasing function whose derivative is positive. Then we have these two theorems. The first one is that for two uncertain variables, Xi and eta, if Xi first order dominates eta, then if expected value of the utility of Xi is equal to or greater than the expected value of the utility value of eta. And the next theorem is that now for the utility function, if its second derivative is a negative one, then we can see Xi second order dominates eta if and only if the expected value of the utility of Xi is equal to or greater than the expected utility value of eta. Now we move on to our summary. Now in my talk, first, I suggest when we make comparison, we need to obtain the distributions of the indeterminate quantities. Now, if we believe the distributions are close enough to the real frequencies, then we should use probability theory as the basic tool. Otherwise, we should learn and use uncertainty theory. Next, we can choose uncertain dominance to make decision. This uncertain dominance is given by us as an alternative ranking criteria. And from our conclusion, from our theory, we can know that the first order uncertain dominance is suitable for all people to make decisions. And the second order uncertain dominance is suitable for risk averse people to make decisions. Because here, the risk averse people, their utility function has this property. That is, the second derivative of their utility function is negative. Well, that's all my speech. Thank you all. And if you have any questions.
Thank you, madam, for nice presentation. Now the floor is open, and I hope there are some couple of questions. Any questions from the audience? So I will just put one question. that we have already understood that the belief and plausibility, you may be aware of that too. So whether can we include in this uncertain theory that belief and plausibility?
Yeah, you now, do you mean that we have belief degree, and that is belief probability distribution? I didn't quite catch your words.
Yes, because belief and plausibility, they are very catchy words. Sometimes they use it as a fuzzy set theory. Sometimes they use it as some possibility theory. So since uncertainty theory is a general, so my query to you that can we include belief and plausibility are the facets of uncertain theory?
I know. Now you see, although probability, no matter the probability distribution is a subjective probability distribution or the objective probability distribution, they all obey the operational law of the probability theory. But in case the distribution cannot be close to the real frequency, the same problem, like the one I have shown, will still occur. Therefore, we still need to use uncertainty theory.
Thank you very much. I think that there will be one more question.
So good afternoon, Professor Wang. This is Samarjit. Hello, actually, I have one question. So
Yes.
you use that utility function and determine the dominance of the corresponding functions. So can you use the information, that means entropy measure, for determining those utility function? Some entropy measure other than this expected value measure?
Yeah, well, see, you can just use uncertain dominance, and you needn't use utility. But
Yes.
I just tell the link if you want to use the utility function, and the conclusion is the same. Here, I just give the link between using uncertain dominance and expected utility criteria. But in fact, you can just use uncertain dominance. Here, I just give the link.
Okay.
I don't know whether I have clearly explained myself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. From our side, it is a good presentation. And let us give an applause for the madam.
Okay, thank you. Hope next in the future we can meet on site. Thank you all.
Sure. So our next speaker is Professor Bishwajit Sarkar, right? Next speaker is Professor Bishwajit Sarkar. He is MSc, MPhil, PhD and postdoc. He is from Holchan Endowed Professor, Department of Industrial Engineering, Yonsei University, South Korea. He is an adjunct professor, Department of Dentistry, Yonsei University, South Korea, and also adjunct professor, Center for Transdisciplinary Research, Sabita Dental College, Sabita University, Chennai. His present address is like that, the second floor of this one. Now, the basic objective of his research is that he is searching for a competent university research institute where he can get adequate exposure to develop a challenging and growing career where his skill and research activity can benefit the university or institute. Now, his academic record says that he is postdoctoral from Busan National University, Korea, in the year of 2012 and 2013. He has obtained his Doctor of Philosophy from Jadavpur University, India, 2010, in the field of applied mathematics and operation research. He is Master of Philosophy from Mathematics and Boolean Polynomials from Annamalai University, India, 2008. Master of Science in Applied Mathematics and Operation Research, Jadavpur University, India, in 2004. Bachelor of Science, Major Mathematics, Jadavpur University in 2002, and so on. Remaining things are not required because already it's known. And that's all I think his biodata. He has got a lot of publications in many of the Scopus Index journal, and 2-3 can be mentioned like mathematical. He has published a topic on the sustainable, flexible manufacturing production inventory control with outsourcing, given investment and improved strategy under variable demand in the Journal of the Mathematical Bioscience and Engineering in the year of 2022, which is the current year. And he has got plenty of other publications. And because of this time, I think that the nice biodata, I hope that it is understood that his credentials are enormous. So now I request Professor Biswajit Sarkar to start his presentation. You have 30 minutes for your presentation.
Okay. So is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, the organizer, for allowing me the chance to present my research. So today I will present about the circular economy towards zero waste, a paradigm. What is the concept of the circular economy, that I will explain first, and then how it will go for the towards zero waste, the target of the SDG approach, Sustainable Development Goal. That I will explain. And how we can say this is a new paradigm, that I will explain also. So that's the topic for my research today. So this is my self-introduction. So Professor already explained, but let me explain something a little bit, that why I want to say something. So presently I have published till now 299 papers, and the citation is more than 10,000. And I'm working in the Department of Industrial Engineering in Yonsei University as an Walchun Endowed Professor. It's a distinguished professor. I'm there. And what I'm doing, that's my team presently from Korea. And I'm working with Indian students also from Indian side. But I'm presenting here this Korean lab. And there is some opportunity to invite the faculties also. So presently, Professor Nandu Dulal Boiragi is a professor of biomaths in Department of Mathematics, Jadavpur University. He's with me in my lab, and that we have some collaborative research. That's why I invited him also. He's here with me now. We can invite for 3 months or 6 months, something like that. So he came here for 3 months, and this is the other postdocs, PhD students, integrated PhD, masters students from here. So let me start my content, that what exactly I will present today. So first I will explain about the circular economy. What is that one? Then the biggest comparative study regarding the closed loop supply chain and the circular economy, and how the supply chain management work within the circular economy. And then the waste management, how do we reach to the zero waste, that I will explain. And then the benefit of the circular economy, and then go with the two research model, which I have done with my graduate students, that both the models are published. So that I will explain today. So first of all, what is the circular economy? The concept is that it's a systematic framework of the restorative economy. So it's the name circular economy. It means that anyhow that it can turn to the circle, and that makes the big comparative study or confusion with the closed loop supply chain. So let me explain first the circular economy, then go for the closed loop supply chain, and then go for a comparative study. So circular economy always uses waste as a resource. Means that suppose the product, whenever the product is produced by the manufacturer and then retailer is selling the product to the customer, so after the customer using the product, So if there is some leftover, so this is generally as the waste. So this is a concept from the forward supply chain, means supplier to manufacturer, manufacturer to retailer, retailer to customer. And then finally, thus if there is any leftover, so this is like as a landfill or something. So this is considered as the forward supply chain. But if the leftover product as a waste, which we can utilize within the supply chain again, so there is the usefulness of the circular economy. So if this back way that the product, the leftover product will be carried out by some third party or the retailer itself, and then return to the manufacturing system. So then this can be considered as the closed loop supply chain. But there is a matter that everywhere, then whenever this closed loop supply chain is considered or the circular economy considered, so the main concern is that to reduce the waste for the sustainable development goal target. But what is our concept, that we are trying to consider that the zero waste by specific the product, so not by generalize the supply chain. So that's why for this circular economy, different types of procedures are there, so that I'm going to explain one by one. So one is that redesigning, second one is the remanufacturing or upcycling. So these are the things for the circular economy we are considering using that one. So like whenever we are going for redesigning like that, so different types of dresses can be used. Whenever we are going for the remanufacturing, so this type of products can be done like that way. Whenever we are going for upcycling process, so then this type of products can be done. So it means that suppose is the waste bread that which we cannot use it anymore. So that waste bread can be utilized for two ways. One is that the production for other products, and the second option is that the production for like for the bread we can utilize for the food products of the animal, we can production for the alcohol purpose also. So it means that for circular economy, whenever we are using that, the leftover part is totally consumed by the another product preparation. It's some concept of the second supply chain. So that we are trying to introduce, that whenever the closed loop supply chain is going on, that the primary supply chain and the means forward and the backward supply chain is going on towards for the same product. Whereas for using the circular economy, using the two-stage supply chain, we are going ahead with the two different supply chain with different types of products. So there is just a comparative study. For the closed loop supply chain, it returns the variety of items, whereas the circular economy, it circulates the resources within the form of waste or leftover parts, whatever we have. So it has nothing to do with the recycling matter. If we do not consider recycling within the closed loop supply chain, then they do not bother about this one. But circular economy is a formation of reuses. It's a formation of resources. So recycling must be there. For the closed loop, it acts as a medium to return the products or upstream players, whereas for the circular economy, it converts waste or the leftover products into another new products, maybe remanufactured totally or totally as the new products for another supply chain. So for closed loop, it generally is a multi-echelon supply chain we are using, or sometimes at least 3 echelon we are using. And for circular economy, multi-echelon is also possible, 1 or 2 or multi-stage supply chain is also possible, where we are considering here the 2-stage supply chain. So for supply chain in the circular economy, we are considering like this way. So first stage, the primary supply chain, and then the forward supply chain, and going for multi-echelon using that one. So where the waste circulation can be done. Similarly, for the second stage, the secondary chains, the backward supply chain can be done. Also, the multi-echelon can be done. So these are the 2-stage supply chain are possible like that way. And if we go ahead with this multi-echelon, so these are the concerned directions. So I'm not going with the explaining each and every one. So if we are going for the waste management by the circular economy, what will happen? So we can use this forward supply chain, we can use the backward supply chain, we can use the closed loop supply chain for using the landfill purpose, that whatever the leftover product, so that we can go for the landfill. So that I gave the example of the bread matter, that if we use this bread example, so that can be considered for the make the beer production, also make the production for the livestock foods. So these type of things are there. And these are the some economic example that whenever the circular economy we're considering what is the benefit, like until 2030, 4.5 trillion amount of things that fund can be contributed through the circular economy. Maybe 6 million jobs. These are the predictions that 6 million jobs will be increased by 2030 by the same. So these are the economical effect through the circular economy. So now let's start for the model 1. That model we have published, as I said, that with the graduate students, that model, both the model we published. So that's the first one, is the circular economy driven two-stage supply chain management for nullifying the waste. So what is the two-stage supply chain concept? That's the same thing, as I said, that the first stage, the leftover product we will use in the secondary supply chain, second supply chain, and the secondary supply chain raw material is specified by the leftover of the first stage supply chain. It means that if there is no leftover product from the primary supply chain, then the secondary supply chain does not exist. So what is the contribution of the literature there? We are trying to introduce supply chain and the circular economy together with two-stage supply chain, number one. Number two, that in the literature, what the main contribution is there, that always trying to minimize the waste, whereas we are trying to nullifying the waste, that whatever be the product, there should not be any waste. So zero waste we are trying to reach. Rest are other things are there. So this is the concept of the supply chain, that initially there is a supplier, that the raw materials they are supplying to the manufacturer. This is the primary supply chain, of course. So manufacturer will produce the product and send to all retailers. And each retailer has some leftover products. So these leftovers will be taken by this recycler. So they will change to other product. It's not only the same product again. And this one will be sold to the retailer. And this is generally we consider for the bakery products. So such that this will be the product is produced for the animal. So this is animal food. So this is totally consumption is that total consumption is that. So total animal food will be consumed by total. So there will be nothing left over for the food. So that's why we said that nullification of waste. So whatever be the waste will be totally used for this purpose. And for that one, for the primary chain, we use this MTO process, make to order policy. And for secondary chain, we are trying to go ahead with this MTS, make to stock policy. These are the notation. And this is some basic assumptions based on that. So as I said that we follow like that way, two stage, that the supplier will provide the raw materials, manufacturer will produce, and then go for all these retailers. And whatever the leftover products, it moves to the here. So this manufacturer is the recycler basically. So this is the secondary chain. So that secondary chain, this manufacturer will produce the another product. So that is the for animal food. So this retailer will sell the product, and this total food product will be consumed by the animal, not by the human being itself. So for the cost function matter, so for retailer, for the primary chain, so we consider, because this is the basic consideration is there. So that's why we consider just the basic cost, not going for any higher dimension of this type of difficult costs we are considering. So we are considering here the ordering cost, material purchasing cost, holding cost, and deterioration cost for the retailer, because deterioration, because it's food product, so deterioration is the most important thing here. And this deterioration rate, what I have introduced in 2012, this is a time dependent deterioration rate, that exactly we have done here, we have considered here, nothing new. So for the manufacturer part, we have the setup and ordering costs. So this is the setup cost and ordering cost, transportation cost, holding and for holding cost for the raw material, and this is the holding cost for the finished products. And this is the cost for the supplier, setup cost, and the investment we have used something. because that for buying raw material, there is needness of some investment. So there is some ordering cost, so holding cost for raw material, holding cost for the unfinished product, this one, and this is the transportation cost, and this is the carbon emission costs. So if we go ahead with this primary supply chain total cost, if we just can add, because we did not consider any power, that means differentiality within the players, so that's why we can just add that to all three costs together, and now go for the cost calculation of the secondary supply chain. There are two player, manufacturer, retailer. So these are the costs like setup cost, holding cost, material purchasing cost, the holding cost for the retailer, holding cost for the finished products and unfinished products. So this way we can consider. So if we go ahead with the centralized supply chain, so then total cost we can just march to both the cost. This total cost we have done, and then within the decision variable, there are some variable are continuous and some are discrete. So we can consider a combination of these two optimization procedure together. So which are the continuous decision variable, we calculate the value first, and then based on the discrete optimization technique, so these values we have calculated using this one. These are the algorithm. I'm not going into the depth for the explanation of the algorithm. And this is the numerical input data, and this is the result. So within the result, there is something to explain. So two policies of the transportation we have used here. One is the SSMD, that's the single setup multi-delivery, and the first one is the SSSD, single setup single delivery. So whenever the single setup single delivery is there and single setup multi-delivery is there, we found that the single setup multi-delivery, the cost is reduced. But rather than this cost is reduced, so the important part is this one, that the cycle length of this model. Why I'm talking about this cycle length is so much important. The reason behind it, that we are considering that the bakery industry. So whenever the bakery industry we are considering, the cycle length should be based on, suppose a bread can survive how many days? 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days maximum, 10 days, not more than that. Say if we say that the bakery food product will survive, okay, say for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, so it is almost impossible. So that's why getting the result with the data with this type of things is really, really hard with zero waste. So finally you got that one, that it's possible. So suppose if we go for the extension of this type of model and then we change that the data with something else, so then the big problem is coming that what is the exactly food product. Without that we cannot go for the nullification of the waste. Suppose I'm just giving an example that if we take some metal product, that is the research is going on with some another industry. So if the metal product is going on, and then if we are going for the nullification of the waste, it is almost impossible. But how to reuse this, whatever be the metal product in the second supply chain, means second stage of supply chain, even though it is needed for the third stage of supply chain. So then these will be changed in the big way, means that this will never be like 0.009, because the metal product, the longevity is much more than this type of bakery products. So if anyone has this type of consideration for research, so this is the big deal to change. That's the concept. So finally, what is the main purpose? What we find that the waste, of course, is reduced and is going to zero. And then the important part for the cycle length that I explained already. However, the setup cost of the primary manufacturer has a reverse trend. This is the another big thing of the total cost. Generally, it is not going on. If we increase the setup cost, so generally the total cost will increase. But we found it is going for the reverse trend. And we are trying to go for this experiment for the different product. Is not for the bakery one. So it is going on the same or different. So that we are going on with this point, but this we found already. The second one is that the waste generated in retail shop due to deterioration can be redirected for the other purpose of rather than the landfill. So there is something another big point, that whenever the waste are generated from the first one, and then whenever the movement is going on for the second one, there are some issues. We are not getting 100% waste which are collected. So these are the major findings from the first model. So we just start for the second one. So there is, we are just want to check the another investigation for the cargo damage in container shipping. What is the concept? That is the main concept is that the leakage problem. So whenever that the waste from the first stage of supply chain to the second steps of supply chain is shipped by the containers, so when those containers have leakage, this is the another big problem of the system, and that is the main problem when we are considering the first model. So that's why the immediate consideration or extension of the model we have done with the another research with the leakage and the reduction of the mass balance and the pollution, because whatever we are taking the product within the container, and then whenever we are just checking the same one, when we are reaching to the secondary supply chain, there is a amount is reduced, but where is that amount? So that is the concept regarding the leakage matter. So this we can categorize as a cargo damage. So this has something like physical, water damage, contamination damage. So any type of damage can be done. So for leakage of these containers, how we can consider within this circular economy that we have done for the model 2. So that's the concept, that effect of circular economy for waste nullification under sustainable supply chain management. This paper already accepted but not published. The proofread is going on. So that's why it is in this type of stage. I cannot show the final proofread. Whatever, so this model, whatever we have done, so that's the main contribution is the container leakage. That means whenever the wastes, suppose think about this, is a dirty waste with some bad smell is moving through the road. So we always try to, okay, move it, just let them go first, such that we should not take this type of bad smell. And think that container has a leakage, the whole road will be dirty, and everywhere the bad smell is coming. So this we found whenever the first model we are going to consider. So that's why the second model, immediately we are trying to consider this one, that how to reduce this container leakage and what the effect within the cost formulation within the circular economy concepts. So we almost considered the similar type of things, but there is a change in the secondary supply chain, because that part we have to consider. Who is considering and who is not taking care of this thing, so that we have to go for observation. So that is, we took that one a third party collection center, that means third party is taking this one and they send to the recycle industry. That is the basically the manufacturer, they produce the secondary products, and then retailer, and then go for the product for the total consumption. This is the notation. So this is the main part of the framework of the secondary supply chain, that these two part, the red circle we are making, that the third party and the recycling industry are the main feature for the second model. So that we have done here, that as I said, that this is that I have done in this is also till now my best cited paper 2012. That paper we have published with that is with that the maximum lifetime. So using that, so the cost for the retailer is like similar, holding cost, price discounts, deterioration, and ordering cost, but the change will be in the not in the third party will be there. That setup cost for manufacturer, ordering cost, holding cost, and the production cost. But here is the changes. This part is we put this expected value also because of the random value we are considering, because we do not know how much waste can be putting through the leakage on the road. So that's why we have to consider some random value. So that's why we take the expected value of the delta. So this is the container leakage cost, and rest part are just like similar collection cost and other things are there. So this is the recycle industry. They are considering that part also, that whatever the recycle part is there, so they consider this part. So like material purchasing cost, holding costs, transportation, and setup cost. And for the secondary supply chain, so this is the total cost of these things. And as it is in the last time, we have done similar variables, but there is something that integer variable is there, discrete options are the discrete variables are there, and continuous are there. So it's a triple combination of the optimization technique. So this has been done like that way, the similar like that. These are the optimum values, and these are the numerical inputs that we have taken the similar value from the last model, so that we can go ahead with this, that leakage cost can be really reduced or not. So there is the important part, that each one we have calculated. And what is the concept that we are trying to do? That these are the integer values for a specific part, for 3PL, for the recycling, for the retailers, and these are for the raw materials like recycling industry. This is the finished products for the retailer. So these are the things, but the main important concept is that the cost parameter, last time whatever the value we got, it is reduced huge considering the leakage cost. So there is the concept of the leakage matter. So specifically when the SSMD policy that I said in the last one, that the single setup multiple delivery we considered, so that time we got the minimum cost, and also the cycle length is reduced to 0.007. This is the point which one last time was 0.009, because we can save the waste also. We should not throw the waste on the road. And there is another big thing that we check, that whenever the leakage cost, we are just checking for each parameter, each values, and go for a iterative method. So we check that whenever the leakage cost is the per container using the similar data, that the $10 per container, then only the cost is reduced huge. So not like that, okay, whatever the minimum leakage cost we are considering, that we can get the minimum. So for $10 we can get the minimum cost for that one. And next, go for the discussions. So if we go comparative with this model 1, the leakage for waste restoration and the price discounts we are considering for waste reduction. And as I said already, that from the accept the novel approach for this study in the model 1, that the circular economy and the two-stage supply chain consideration is going on, the total supply chain cost by 90% we have reduced from the model 1. This is a big contribution, because the first model we found that there is something leakage and the waste is not, the mass balance condition is not coming properly. So that's why to go for nullification, it means that total is zero waste. So there is some problem is coming. So that's we found, and then we solved that model in model 2. So the overall cost of the supply chain can be decreased by sufficiently increasing the cost of leakage or container maintenance. So this container maintenance is so much important such that we can reduce this cost totally. Finally, this is the biggest graph that exactly based on the data we got, that initially the leakage cost is moving, goes very slowly, but after some time here drastically changed at a time. And that is the big indication for getting the, using the leakage cost, the nullification of the waste can be done easily. So this is the main findings of the prevention of the loss of waste aided for the economic and environmental sustainability of the supply chain. And this is the following figure for the price discounts we have used, that if we go consider the price discount, so then what is the effect of the total cost? So that we have done also, that is the, it is the extremely sensitive parameter. For the sensitivity we have found this one. Finally, the two important contributions we have found there, that price discount policy at the primary retailers ends help to reduce the waste generation, and the second one is the leakage cost at a certain level, that 10 I already show that this is the area where the drastical change has been done. So at a certain level reduce the total cost, and this is for food production industry cannot be take back with the food waste for to do something. So another parallel industry, livestock food, can be open to waste to get the recycled. So as we have considered for the food industry specification. So this we have done with the classical optimization technique with some continuous and the discrete methodology optimization technique. So we are planning for using some metal, that is, as I said, that the metal industry, we are trying to do these things, and that we are trying to solve with this meta heuristic approach. And we are specifically using the flower pollination, because this is going to converge much more. So that's all about the presentation. This is the references. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me now.
Thank you, Professor Sarkar, for nice presentation about this circular economy. And now the floor is open. Any questions from the audience side to Professor?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I have got a question. Like in one of your slides, you have shown that setup cost of a primary manufacturing, chain manufacturer has a reverse trend with the
Yes.
total cost. So, in
Yes.
your opinion, what is the justification for that?
Ma'am, as I said in the model 1, the problem is coming. We are trying to reduce the waste, and it's not reduced, it's a nullification of the waste. But the problem is that whenever we are getting that the nullification of the data is not coming nullified, means that still some waste are there, some costs are going to reverse trend. The main problem is the setup cost for this type of matter. So why we are saying that the maintenance of the container is needed, because whenever the container is going through the road, there are a huge amount of waste of the means the leakage of the waste, means that from the leakage the waste is continuously throwing everywhere. So that's why total amount of waste is not going to be counted properly, and that is the thing we got the reverse trend. So second model we solved that matter. So that's the main concern.
I have one more question. Like,
Yes,
can we apply circular economy for SUP, like single-used packaging material?
Ma'am, condition is that if we can have some leftover product, and suppose which one we are going for the landfill, that the leftover this land without going to landfill, if we can utilize this one, then only the circular economy we can utilize again. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, my question is with respect to SUP, single-use
I understand.
packaging. Yeah. So for
I
that,
understand.
like shampoo sachets or any type of sachets. So can we apply circular economy for that?
Circular economy, I said, can be applied only when if the leftover product is there. Suppose you bought something and you consume totally, there is nothing to do with the leftover, then the circular, how do you use the circular economy? That's the concept.
The packaging, sir. I'm talking about the packaging material.
Yes, packaging material. I said that's why that if you have leftover after using, then definitely it can be used. Circular economy is the part.
Yeah, single-use products like sachets, shampoo sachets, or any. So
what is not the matter of this specific example, ma'am. The point is that circular economy is considered from the part which are the leftover after use.
Yeah.
If you have, you can use it. If you don't have, you cannot use it. That's the point. So if you have leftover after use, then only circular economy you can utilize. Otherwise, no.
I think we have to understand the question.
Sir, myself, Sanjeev. First of all, a very in-depth and nice presentation. So mathematical model for regarding that, I'm nowhere to ask you a question. But from a practical perspective, I just want to ask, what is the practical applicability of this mathematical model? How one industry can implement your mathematical model and its efficiency in improving their business results?
Sir, this is the industrial model using mathematics, because as you know that I'm from mathematics background, working in the industrial engineering department. So what exactly I'm doing, the industrial problem I'm solving with the mathematical way. So first of all, this is the diagram that what the bakery industry are doing on. So first of all the products, whatever the they want to sell, they can sell. Then leftover, they are trying to sell using like extension of dates, that within this date they are reducing the price and all these things. Still those products which were not sold, so this is going to damage. So this product we are trying to utilize it using for some other product, such that the damage can be reduced. So that is the main concern we find in the literature, and we specify for the product of the bakery product such that the damage can be 0. So that's the main concern, and that we have done mathematically already, and the data and all are related to the industry. It's nothing about this artificial something.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Sarkar once more for giving the nice presentation. And
No sound is coming, so I cannot listen.
Okay, so you still have a question? Okay, one more question.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, do you have any statistics on how much of the waste that is being generated in such a household products? I mean, there must be a lot of packaged food item that goes away. It's not just bread that goes away after 10 days. There can be oats or any milk products.
This data is given by the industry itself. Okay. So we have the information that how much they are buying and how much they are getting waste. So this data we can get from there. So through the value we are getting there, so that we have done these things.
And sir,
Yes.
the time limit for this was that for perishable goods, it's the T was 0.009. In some
Yes.
cases, like for intercontinental shipments of some perishable food only, like peaches.
No,
I
dear.
just want to say
We cannot do that. We are just allowed to give the value which are given from the industry. So those values, what they have, so that maximum perishable time we can consider only. Suppose one product has perishability after 2 days, another product of perishability after 3 days, and the second product, third product say perishability after 10 days. So we took the maximum value. This way we have done.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope are there any more questions? If not, then we will end this session. We thank the speaker, Professor Sarkar, for joining us from Korea.
Thank you very much.
Yes, a round of applause for him. And now the sessions, paper presentation sessions, the plenary sessions, invited talks, they have all come to an end. And finally, we are approaching the end of this conference today. And so we would end with the valedictory session. So let me take stock of the guests and dignitaries who are present here. I can see Professor Bijon Sarkar, are you present? Okay. Professor Arun Mukherjee, is Professor Arun Mukherjee present? No. Okay. All right. So I think I will ask Professor Bijon Sarkar, please, to address the gathering. Sir, where some participant is trying to join. Left. Okay, sir, come, please come. Can I put Jane? Oh, I think it's better to sit on the stage. Okay. All right. Please bear with us. 2 minutes just for everyone to assemble here. Okay.